Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Miniart. And this is a tank kit in 1/35 scale, so it's no surprise when we are talking about Miniart. And you can see that it copies T-34/85 with composite turret from 112th plant during summer 1944. And quite a notable thing that we have interior kit here, so it means you will get tank model which is fully detailed not only outside but also inside, and this might be a handy feature for some diorama ideas or maybe for some of the, let's say, interesting projects in 1/35 scale. Maybe you would like to do the cut out version, maybe you would like to place some figures inside, so definitely all these internals will be handy. And today we have a commercial sample on the table, so it means you will get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. So first of all, box size is standard for this brand. Here you can see comparison with my hand, and we have quite interesting box art. Note that T-34 is depicted without front mudguards. Next, on the side here we have some safety information and address of the manufacturer in case you would like to visit them. That's where you should go, and here you can see the safety advices. And if I flip over the box, here you'll find 5 marking options which are included into this kit. So all these markings can be replicated with the decals which are supplied from the box. So let's open it. And here inside you can see that we have all frames packed into the same plastic bag. Well, actually inside you'll find a bag inside the bag, but that's pretty much standard design for Miniart. And here you can see that there are a lot of sprues. We have also assembly manual on the bottom, but obviously we will talk about it a bit later when we will finish checking all the plastic stuff. And here I need to use scissors in order to open it because it's a sealed plastic bag, so just give me a second to cut through it and we will take a closer look together. But I have to note that this T-34 from Miniart turned out to be quite an interesting kit. Yes, it's definitely not for beginners, even in its version without interior, but still it's, I would say, one of the best T-34 on the market at the moment. So definitely if you would like to depict this famous Soviet tank in 1/35 scale, that should be, let's say, one of your first choices to purchase for your next project. So why I'm holding off, because here we have another plastic bag. This one is dedicated to clear frame and also decals sheet, so I just need to cut through it and we will check everything closer with you. So first of all, I would like to start with the decals sheet, so that's why we need to zoom in and maybe close the lenses a bit. So decals come from Decals, so we shouldn't be worried about any, let's say, possible printing issues. It's just a matter of careful application, and I know some others might even copy some of these numbers with a brush and white paint, so it's up to you which approach you choose, but I guess even the standard decals should look decent. It's just a matter of applying some weathering on them so that they won't jump out on the finished model. And next we proceed with 2 clear plastic sprues. I will show you only one because they carry the same set of parts. Here we have all the clear parts which will be needed for this tank, and as you remember, we are dealing with interior set, so that's why we have a lot of periscopes inside. And of course masks are not included, so you will have to cut everything with your own hands and apply them on these parts, or maybe you will have to find some workaround in order not to do at all this task. Here we continue with a small envelope with Miniart logo. It is usually used for PE thread, and today's kit is not an exclusion from this rule, because here you can see this unpainted PE thread with various parts. So we have again some elements for the external features, we have also some internal things, and it's really cool because PE parts will allow you to get some, let's say, fine features on your model, and this is really important in 1/35 scale. It will be noticeable, so do not be lazy, apply all these parts and your model will only benefit from such, let's say, improvement. Next we proceed with the first gray plastic sprue. So here I will place it like this, and I guess we will have to zoom out a bit so that you can see what we have here. So here we have one of the biggest plastic frames, and you'll find the lower section of the main hull. You'll find also glacis plate here, also rear armor plate. We have front mud guards, also some other parts for the engine deck on the tank. And note that all hatches are molded separately, so basically you can open them on your tank model and maybe expose some internals, maybe place a figure. Note that casting surface is also quite convincing, so it's just a matter of careful painting and maybe weathering. Here we have cut out for PE parts, so be careful while installing this PE thread, actually PE mesh, because you will have to be careful while installing this thing and getting the right angle, let's say. And the same can be said about this engine bay area, so there are a lot of plastic parts to be installed here and there, so be ready for that. And if I flip it over, inside here on the floor panel you'll find a lot of additional molded in features, which are quite handy, especially if you plan to show what is hidden inside this tank. So definitely a good thing to have out of the box. Okay. Next we proceed with I would say connection between two sprues. So here we have mix of various parts, and these are mostly internal elements. So here we have some parts for the turret. We also have some parts for the driver compartment. And that's really cool that there are a lot of things actually copied in this scale. But of course you have to be careful while installing these parts, because you can notice that some parts are really tiny. Even though this is a 1/35 scale, still they will demand some careful handling from you, and they will not tolerate any, let's say, accidental slips of your knife or maybe cutter. Here we continue with another good thing which is included out of the box. Here we have interconnection between two sprues, but this one is dedicated to engine parts, and this is really cool because we get a quite detailed power plant. So it's just a matter of thinking how to expose it, maybe to open the engine bay covers, panels, or maybe to remove it completely and depict the tank in a servicing, let's say, scene. It will be up to you, but again, I will, let's say, underline it as a nice advantage of this kit, which will bring quite interesting feature to the model. And in 1/35 scale it looks interesting. Here we continue with another plastic sprue, so it is also concerned with as you can see, engine bay. So a lot of armor walls. We also have various stands, and I can see that air compressors, so it is also something to install on your model. Next we proceed with more internal parts, so here you can see them. And also we have some Pioneer tools. For example, here you can see this handsaw. It is molded together with a holder, so you don't have to install anything. Next we continue with smaller frame. And this one is interesting because here we have various minor elements which will have to be installed on the main hull. So you can see, for example, this cover for the machine gun. Also we have here air vents for the engine bay, spare tracks. All this stuff is included here. Next we continue with turret parts. So here we have quite an interesting thing. So you can see that turret, I would say its design is somewhat standard for this section of the T-34. So we have separate top panel. You can see also this welding seams, they look quite convincing. Here you can check them from the opposite side. We have air vents. So everything looks good. But the hatches, as you remember, were molded separately, so you can place them in whatever position you would prefer to see on your model. Next we continue with, here we have ammo for the main gun. As you can see, each this item is molded as a separate part, and that's really cool because you can actually use them for your own purposes, or maybe not use all of them at once. This is also a decent thing to have. Next we continue with the fuel tanks. So again, parts design is somewhat standard for this section of T-34. So basically you combine two halves together, then you combine with these holders. Front and rear sections are molded as a single piece parts which will be inserted inside. Next we have more minor parts, so they are supplied on two identical sprues again. Here we have mostly parts for the rear section. As you can see, these are one-piece exhaust covers, and maybe I will try to bring it closer so that you can see how they look like, and here you can check it from the opposite side. So yes, we do have guiding elements, and it will make it easier to align everything together. Next we proceed with some of the suspension parts, and also we have parts for the front section of the interior. As you can see, various seats including the driver's seat, and that's really cool because, as you remember, we have openable hatches, so you can open and expose what is inside, what is on this compartment, and that's a really great feature to have in 1/35 scale in my opinion. Next we proceed with track parts, and here we have quite an interesting situation because, well, first I would like to show you these small parts for the superstructure on the turret. As you can see, again, separate hatches, and here you can check them from the opposite side. Okay. Next we proceed with another thing, and I think it was also concerned with engine bay. So here you can see these parts. And again, they're really tiny. It's 1/35 scale, but they're small. So be ready to work with special tools, because otherwise it will be easy to break these parts and then really difficult to fix them to get the proper shape. Now I'm trying to align the track parts so that I can show you only one, because they carry the same parts. It's just we get two types of tracks. And in a second I will show you what I'm talking about. So just give me a moment. So we have two track types, as I said before. These are separate track links, and here you can see them. These are two types, and the main difference is this: when I flip them over, so you can see that they will have to be combined one after another. So it should be quite easy task in my opinion. Just do not hurry, and definitely this is a better thing than a typical, let's say, vinyl parts which we are used to see in some kits. Next we proceed also with some suspension parts, so nothing special, they look quite nice, and as far as I remember they will be installed from inside, so pay attention when you will be doing this. Next we have a big plastic sprue which is dedicated to the turret parts, so I will place it like this. Let's zoom out a bit. So here we have, let's say, turret main shell. We also have lower panel and front main gun cover, and also these are not armor panels which will be installed from outside. They will be installed from inside because they basically copy the interior of this turret, and that's really cool parts design in my opinion. It will also help you replicate the proper thickness of this section of the tank, and that might be important for some modders, especially considering the fact that you can expose what is hidden inside. Here we continue with a bigger plastic sprue which is dedicated to hull parts. So these are side panels for the lower section. This is a top panel. As you can see, we have separate glacis plate, we have separate engine bay, and we have engine bay cover, and here we have separate rear armor plate. So all this stuff will have to be installed or glued in as a separate part. Now I have to open another plastic bag. So yes, there is one more. As you remember, I said that we have a plastic bag in a plastic bag, and that's actually what I was talking about. Here we have various road wheels, suspension parts, and even main gun parts for the turret. So I will try to take them out and show you what we are getting here. So just give me a moment, because this is a quite interesting parts packaging design, let's say. So, first of all, we have radiator grills, which should be assembled out of these parts. Obviously, they will be installed in the engine compartment, and they look quite nice, so it's just a matter of careful assembly. Next, you should be ready for small parts again. So here we have this spruce. As you can see, these are basically road wheels and idlers, and also some of the handles and bars which will be on the tank. Here we have another type of the sprue. This one is the same, just to note it. And what is next? Next we continue with the main gun. So it comes on the separate frame, but what is cool here is that the main barrel is molded as a single piece part, so you don't have to be worried that you'll be joining two hulls together. And that's actually a handy thing, because it will allow you to get a cleaner connection between these parts and cleaner result on such visible element on the tank. And maybe I will try to take out the road wheels. I'm not sure why they are from the opposite end of the sprue, but give me a second. So road wheels should be glued out of two hulls. Here we have them molded together with rubber bandages, so be ready to somehow mask them in order to carefully paint it. But you can see that we have guiding elements inside, so it will be relatively easy to combine them together while building this model. And now we can proceed to the assembly manual. So I will close the lenses a bit, maybe zoom out so that we can fit the whole brochure, because it's a typical Miniart color printed brochure. And you can see that on the first page we have a short list of the features for this kit. Next we proceed with two marking options, one winter, another one is 9th Tank Corps from spring 1945 in Germany. Here we continue with the parts map. Keep in mind that Miniart does not show unused parts, so you have to be careful on which parts to use here and there, because in some cases we have spare parts, so pay attention to this. And here you can see first steps, they are involving the main hull assembly. So basically you combine the floor panel together with various suspension parts. And here you have to pay attention to the overall alignment, because as far as I remember there were no fitment issues whatsoever. But you have to pay attention to the fitment of the large panels together and their alignment, so that the overall geometry of the hull will be in the right shape. It won't be looking as a weird assembly. So you can see that whole interior gets assembled first, and then you just join two side panels together. You enclose the main hull, and that's why it's good thing to plan everything strategically, let's say, so that you know what should be painted in advance, what should be painted or can be painted later. Otherwise it will be quite a tricky thing to perform, and that's actually something what you should consider when you are working with interior kits. Here, by the way, you can see the engine assembly and engine bay compartment assembly. We also get the transmission into the place. On the top hull cover you will have to drill some holes in order to install external parts. Here we continue by doing the same thing on the opposite side. We install the glacis plate in place. Rear armor panel goes on the lower hull section, as you can see. And then we join everything together. Install the suspension arms, install various handles in this engine bay cover. So here do not forget that you have to combine the plastic part together with the P parts. Next we continue with the driver compartment hatch. Here we have front mudguards, but as you remember on the box art you can leave them aside, because it was a real, let's say, thing on some T-34. So each track link contains 72 tracks, so it means 36 of each type. And next we proceed with assembly of the main gun. So this one will be quite detailed as well, especially considering that we have a full interior in the turret. So that's a really cool thing, and it would be worth to think how to expose all this stuff, because it would be a shame to hide it inside. So all in all you have to perform 103 steps in total. Next, we have the same marking option as on the box art, so it's a Czechoslovak tank brigade from spring 1945. Here you have another one, it's a fourth marking option, and it comes from spring 1945 as well. We have some other kits, and we reviewed them as well. You can find the review on our YouTube channel, and here we have two other kits which copy T-34. Both are interior kits, and we reviewed them, so you can find it easily on our YouTube channel as well. So as for today's kit, it should be already available, and if you would like to get it, I would recommend to check, for example, my Max web shop. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such a release here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!